How's it going, everybody? This is Zach from Anglers Escape, and today I wanted to go over all the best fishing conditions. So right here I have a list of points that I really wanted to make of the best fishing conditions and why these fishing conditions are the best, why it makes the fish more active. So the first thing I wanted to go over was rainy, overcast conditions. So just about everybody will tell you, any fisherman will tell you, that rainy, overcast conditions increases the fishing success, and there's a few reasons why. Now, the main reason that I believe rain and overcast days increases the fishing success is just because it decreases the light levels in the water. So basically it creates a low light condition during the day. So what happens is bluegill and minnow that are normally hiding during the night are out feeding during the day. So they're out in the open, but it's still low light conditions, just maybe not as much as the night. So the predatory fish have a lot easier time ambushing these prey items. So they're having a lot easier time, so they're naturally more active, and you're more likely to catch them under these low light conditions because they're out prowling a lot, they're feeding a lot more actively. Another reason that rainy, overcast days increase the fishing, in my opinion, is whenever you have a rain shower or storms come in, what happens is as the water condenses up in the atmosphere to rain down, it drops the atmospheric pressure, and that is known to increase fishing success. A third reason why rainy, overcast days will increase your fishing success is a lot of times rain and stuff will wash bugs and worms into lakes and streams. So if you're fishing a lake, find somewhere with a stream or something that's flowing into it, because a lot of times there'll be a lot of bugs and worms that are getting washed into that stream that the fish are feeding on. And since the fish have a lot more food to feed on, they're usually just naturally more active. And the last thing I'd like to talk about for rainy, overcast days and why they increase fishing is it may increase the oxygen levels in the lake, and this may lead to an increase of fishing activity or fish activity. So there's a few reasons why rainy, overcast days are known to increase fishing success. The next thing I want to go over is the time to fish, and this is a big thing. Usually I only have limited amounts of times to fish in the week, like a slot here, a slot there. So I really can't count on if the day is going to be rainy. I can't schedule an overcast day or a day with a low pressure, but I can control what time of day I go usually. So I can kind of control if I go dusk or dawn or in the middle of the day. And generally you want to go at dusk and dawn for most fish species. That's usually the prime times. And I think one of the biggest reasons dusk and dawn are some of the best times to go is because the light conditions again are decreasing, but the bait fish are making a transition out into the open or into their cover spots. So during that transition, it's still a little bit low light conditions, so the predatory fish are feeding more. If you ever go to a small pond or lake, you'll definitely notice at dusk you see a lot more activity on the water surface at dusk and dawn. So there's that, and there are some fish species during the time like catfish and walleye. Those fish species just feed actively more at night, but generally definitely best at dusk and dawn for fishing times. The next thing I'd like to cover is windy fishing conditions. So a lot of people don't like the wind, but because it can blow, it's really hard to cast in the wind obviously, and if you have a boat it can be hard to maneuver. But wind can be your friend, because what happens is the wind, there's plankton in lakes that bait fish feed on, and this wind will push the plankton to one side of the lake. So the side of the lake that the wind's blowing into will have a lot more plankton than the other side, so naturally the bait fish will follow, and they'll congregate on this one side of the lake, like on a windy point. And then obviously the predatory fish will come in, and you'll have big concentrations of predatory fish in a small area, which can definitely increase your fishing success. So wind can definitely be your friend. Another thing is cold fronts and warm fronts I'd like to talk about. And a cold front isn't necessarily bad, nor is a warm front. It all depends on the time of year. In the spring, you definitely want a warm front generally. You want the fish are usually kind of semi-inactive from the winter. The warm water kind of speeds up their metabolism and gets them feeding more actively. However, in the summer, if you get those really hot dog days of summer, the fish's metabolisms will slow down. They'll be really lethargic, and a cold front can really bring them out and really start getting them to bite. A lot of times bass during August and the midsummer, they'll just stop biting during the days, but if you get a cold front or go in the morning when it's cooler, you can get a lot more fish hookups because they're more active in that cooler water. Let's see here. Oh yeah, another thing I'd like to talk about and is rising water. So if you fish a river or a lake or a stream, if the water fluctuates much, you always want to go when the water's rising. I've had amazing fishing success when the water's rising, and sometimes when the water's low or dropping, I can't catch a fish at the same spot. And recently I caught my new personal best 46-pound catfish, and the river was really rising really quick. And I think what happens is all of a sudden there's a lot more ground for these fish to go into, and there's a lot more worms coming up from the ground from the flooded area, and they're feeding on that. But not only that, if you're fishing a river or something, what happens is you get these heavy currents coming down, and it kind of displaces the fish because they can't keep up, and then new heavy currents that normally isn't that currented, so they're pushed to kind of like different areas, usually closer to the bank where the current's not as strong, and this kind of concentrates them, and you can have better luck catching them. So as conclusion, I'd like to go over all the best fishing conditions, just a quick recap. So basically, a stormy, overcast day is usually really good fishing because it creates low light conditions. You want a fair amount of wind to push the plankton to one side of the lake so all the fish will follow. Low atmospheric pressure, which also usually accompanies rainy, overcast days. You want a warm front in spring or a cold front in winter. And usually you generally want to go at dusk or dawn. So I hope these tips help you out here, and hopefully you'll have a lot of fishing success in the upcoming months. Thanks for watching.